If I were to recommend you one fragrance for 99% of men, it would not be Creed Aventus. Now let me be clear, there is nothing wrong with this modern masterpiece. I mean, personally, I've worn this fragrance over 100 times and received probably a dozen compliments. That being said, it's expensive, and there are clones out there that smell very similar for a fraction of the price. In fact, there are some clones out there that smell even better according to some, and they've got greater longevity. All that being said, I get it. For some of you guys, you don't mind spending a bit more money, especially if you get what you want. You go look at the House of Roja, you look at Elysium, and in case you're wondering, these fragrances are very different, although they share a lot of similarities. But they wouldn't be the ones that I would put at the top of my list if someone were to ask me to recommend one. No, if you were to ask me for one pick, that would be Aromatic. A bit of sweet, woody, and incredibly versatile. I would recommend Bond No. 9's Scent of Peace for him. Now, the top notes here are pineapple, juniper berry, bergamot. In the middle, currant buds. At the base, cedar and vetiver. Came out in 2013. So, it's been a decade since this thing hit the markets. You can still find it if you look around. And what I like about this, it's crisp, it's fresh, it's got great longevity, good projection, and it's one that I just think it flies under the radar. Now, gents, who doesn't like options, especially when you're traveling the world, you're in a variety of situations and you want to smell good. So what do I have in my hands right here? Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra. Did I say that right? Right here, I've got the Eau de Parfum, and then here I have the Parfum. Really not much of a difference between the two, except the Parfum is just going to be a little bit stronger. Now, when you smell this fragrance, you get quite a few things. You get the woods, you get a little bit of pine, and you get the ocean. And that's why it's in this category. I really like this fragrance. It's versatile, it's office friendly, don't overspray it. But if you are heading out to the beach or you want a fragrance that reminds you of the beach, this could be the one. But it's not going to be my first recommendation. If I had to choose one, no, let's level up. It's a little bit closer to the water. Now, these next two picks getting us a lot closer to the ocean. You've got Atlantique and you've just got the Pour Homme. Both of these right here are going to have an oceanic vibe. This one I would say is going to be more freshwater. This one definitely is going to be more salt water. I like them both. I know that they can be hard to find, and I do think that there is even a better option if you had to choose just one. Now, in this oceanic category, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money. Not saying Oud Mineral is not a beautiful fragrance, but if you are on a budget, the best fragrance in this category has actually been around, or at least flankers of it, since 1996. So obviously, I'm talking about Giorgio Armani's Acqua di Gio. This is one of the most famous fragrances on the planet, and for good reason. This one created its own category, and to this day is still a solid pick. That being said, check out the new one. This just came out in the last, I think, 2 years. It is going to be the Eau de Parfum version, and I have to say that it is absolutely beautiful. So at the top, we've got sea notes and green mandarin. In the middle, clary sage, geranium, and lavender. At the base, we've got mineral notes, vetiver, and patchouli. So this was a remix of the original by the master Alberto Marias. He's the same guy that did the original, and I have to say that he knocked it out of the park. Seriously, if I had to recommend one fragrance on this list right here that is affordable, that so many men would love, this could easily take the cake. That being said, if you want something deeper, richer with a bit of incense, check out Profumo. And if you want something with a bit of more of the aquatic smell, check out Profondo. Next up, let's talk about a fragrance for a man that wants something different. You want something that has spice, something that's gonna, when people smell it, they know they're gonna smell something. You don't want something boring. You want more of an oriental, which is a category of fragrances that really can be overpowering if done or worn too much. But there are certain ones right here, Bulgari's Black Orient. This one just has a bit of pepper and spice. It still is relatively clean and is a great pick, but is not going to be my number one pick in this category. And what about Sauvage Elixir? This one, some people may think I'm even miscategorizing, but I'm putting it here because of the licorice note, and I do get a bit of spice. This one's heavier. It is very different than the other Sauvages in the Dior line, but and it's one of my favorites, but I am not going to put it as the one I would recommend unless you get your nose on this and you absolutely love it. But this one can be almost too deep, too rich, too overpowering. No, the fragrance I'm going to recommend is Viktor & Rolf's Spice Bomb. Now, there is Spice Bomb Extreme, and this one is amazing if you want it even more. They're very similar. This one is just going to be stronger, heavier, can have even more pepper, more vanilla, longer staying power. But I do think for the majority of men, the original Spice Bomb is going to be perfect. This is one of the more unique fragrances you're ever going to get your nose on. And if you're going out, you want something that's going to get compliments with the vanilla note, yeah, this thing is going to make it happen. At the top, we've got pink pepper, elamite, bergamot, grapefruit. In the middle, cinnamon, saffron, paprika. And at the base, tobacco, leather, and vetiver. flavor. I stand corrected. There isn't apparently any vanilla, but I do smell the sweetness. It's the saffron there. The point is, this is a sweet, yet it's going to tickle your nose type of fragrance, one that will definitely get you noticed. And really quick, I want to talk about some of the flankers. Night vision, you're going to see the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum out there. I don't think these are as bad. If you get your nose on them and you like the smell, then go for it. That being said, if you really like cinnamon, you want something a little bit spicier than the original, check out the flanker Infrared. Now let's get back to the boring fragrances that just get a man compliments. So with the House of Chanel, you pretty much can't do any wrong. Those guys are constantly putting out amazing fragrances. 2 examples right here, and I wouldn't recommend you get both. Just simply choose one, whichever one you can find a deal on. A lot of people say that, you know, the Eau Extreme is better, but I just think in general online, people are looking for stronger, heavier, more extreme. Just, yeah, if you get a deal on the original right here, the Homme Sport, then grab it. Now, Allure Original, I'm not going to recommend. I do feel that fragrance is a bit dated, but if you find the cologne out there, I will recommend this one. It's going to have a much stronger citrus top. It's not going to be as creamy as the other ones, less mint, but still a great fragrance. That being said, some of you guys may find the Allure line is a little bit too heavy and you don't find the cologne. In that case, look at Dolce & Gabbana. Their light blue line. Both Forever and Italian Love have this really nice grapefruit top, very realistic. If you like that in your fragrance, or if you just say, you know, the light blue, the Eau Extreme is really a lot smoother. This one, the grapefruit, may be too extreme for people. Point being is get your nose on either one of these. When it comes to hot weather fragrances that project more when you start to sweat, these are both excellent choices. Speaking of sweating, getting hot, smelling good, Dior Homme. This is the new bottle. You're going to see variations out there at discounters. In any case, again, it's going to have more of the citrus top. It's going to be clean. It's going to be a bit powdery, and we'll get into those fragrances here in a second. But this one right here, the citrus is really strong. It's got good longevity, a beautiful fragrance. You can't, again, the House of Dior as well, you cannot go wrong with. Now, I know some of you guys are saying, come on, Antonio, how many fragrances are you going to show me in the fresh, clean citrus line? A lot, because this is one of the most popular men's fragrance categories out there. But if I had to choose one to rule them all when it comes to fresh, clean, citrus top fragrances that are perfect for the summer, it would be Versace's Manna Fresh. And man, this thing is amazing. Top notes right here, we're going to have lemon, bergamot, starfruit, cardamom, Brazilian rosewood. In the middle, cedar, tarragon, sage, pepper. At the base, musk, woods, saffron, amber, and sycamore. This is a great summer fragrance that's incredibly affordable, and the ladies love it. This one is a compliment monster without being over the top. It projects well. And again, what I love about this is it checks all the boxes. It's easy, it's safe, and you can find it all over the place. Highly recommend it. Now, I know some of you guys watching this are like, well, Antonio, that was an easy pick. Everyone's going to love it. Come on, I want to wear something only for me. Then in that case, maybe look at a tobacco fragrance. Look at a fragrance that has oud. These are going to be deep, rich, heavy. For most men, it's not going to be something you want to wear in hot weather, but there are many men around the world, especially the Middle East, that love wearing these type of fragrances in hot weather, and it works for them. So you can make it happen. But if you're going to go with Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanilla, a lot of guys grab this fragrance, they or have maybe own a few fragrances, they smell it and they're like, I love it. And then they're surprised that they don't get as many compliments, or they wear a heavy oud fragrance. Right here, we've got a latent exclusive by Parfums de Marly. So these fragrances are going to be strong. They're going to last all day. They are going to project, but you're going to find not everyone's going to appreciate them. So you need to be careful when you're pulling these off. But I do think these could easily be signature scents. Now, what about animalistic fragrances? These oftentimes are noted as being very masculine, having a bit of sex appeal. Civet is one of the more common notes we're going to see in this. Anateus by Chanel, and of course Coros by Yves Saint Laurent. You could say they've been toned down from their older ones used to almost kill people. But now seriously, these things will still put hair on your chest. Wear them with caution. But for the majority of men that want a signature fragrance that isn't afraid to be masculine and strong, I'm going to recommend the latest Ombre Leather. And I feel it's relatively smooth. The one before this, the Eau de Parfum, it was a little bit harsher. This one I just find is smoother. And if you're not familiar with leather fragrances, similar to tobacco, to oud, these are going to be harder to wear. But if you smell this, and what I like, you can find these in a lot of box stores. You get your nose on this, you like it, you could easily make this your signature fragrance. And I would highly recommend this if you wanted to grab one fragrance, especially for cooler weather, doesn't get too hot in your area. That being said, don't blind buy. And again, you really need to want a fragrance that is going to have you stand out from the crowd. Now, if you're looking for a fragrance that is going to please the masses, and there's nothing wrong with getting a fragrance that you know is going to be a little bit sweet, get you compliments, it's going to be very modern, you want to check out Gucci and their whole Pour Homme line. So right here, you've got the original Pour Homme, not the original, but you know what I'm talking about. Then you've got the Eau de Parfum that came out recently, and then we've got the latest Parfum. Any one of these three, you could blind buy, you could wear it, you would probably get some compliments. They are very nice, they're very smooth, maybe overpriced for what you're getting, but if you can find a deal. Gucci Guilty Black. This one is another, I think, safe blind buy. Very similar actually to the Pour Hommes, although, you know, they're a whole different line, but you get my point. Another house that keeps it very safe, but I don't really recommend because I think they're overpriced, is going to be Ralph Lauren. Right here, we've got Ralph's Club. Either one, I think a lot of people say the Parfum is better. I will agree with that. That being said, if you want to go with the original red, you can find it on sale. I still think it's a great, sweet, clean fragrance, easily a good gift. The original Polo Green, that one is going to be a little bit more polarizing. I would put it with that last category we were talking about. Don't go with the Green Intense. That's a totally different fragrance and not one I would recommend. No, if I were to recommend a can't miss fragrance, that this one's been around for over 20 years. Yeah, crazy. Burberry Touch. I've talked about this one in some of my older videos, and I've came back to it because it is just such a versatile, beautiful, easy to wear fragrance that you can't go wrong with. Is it going to have a lot of distinguishing features? No, but this fragrance right here rocks. The top notes are violet leaf, artemisia, mandarin orange. In the middle, we've got white pepper, cedar, and nutmeg. At the base, white musk, tonka bean, and vetiver. It's smooth, wearable, versatile, and people just love it. That being said, if you want something more modern, check out Dolce & Gabbana's K. This is the Eau de Parfum. Don't go with the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Parfum is where it's at. The top notes on this are going to be blood orange, juniper berry, pimento, lemon, Sicilian lemon, and cardamom. In the middle, we've got fig nectar, lavender, geranium, clary sage, and at the base, cedar, patchouli, vetiver, and cypral oil. Yes, I know I'm cheating here, but this one I think is a bit more masculine than Burberry Touch. Burberry Touch, very unisex. This one just feels, maybe because of the spice, that it's more for a guy, and I do think this one flew under the radar. It got panned initially because it was the Eau de Toilette that got panned. The Eau de Parfum, this one is really a solid option. Now, you can argue that that last set of fragrances I just talked about should have been in this category, blue fragrances, but I'm going to argue they're not, because blue fragrances for me have a bit of an ozonic, there's just something about them. And there's a few that dominate in this niche. And what I find are different houses come in and they create a whole line. Yves Saint Laurent did this with Y, and they smell very similar. They are incredibly versatile. You can wear them in almost any situation, but for some reason, I think it's just, there's something about them that some people don't like. Blue fragrances. Other people love them. So I do recommend, because most of these you can find in box stores, do get your nose on it. But if you like blue fragrances, you'll find that they're probably some of the most versatile out there. You can dress these up, you can dress them down, you can wear them in a wide variety of situations. I would not recommend buying multiple in this particular line, these flankers, because there seems to be a lot of overlap here. And we see that same overlap in the most popular fragrance on the planet, which is Dior's Sauvage. So if you haven't smelled Dior Sauvage, you probably have, because so many guys wear this, and they wear it for good reason, because it gets compliments. It's a solid fragrance, but it is going to be in the blue category. Incredibly versatile, designer. It's got ambroxan. Ambroxan is going to be that heavier note, and a lot of that, some people are turned off by it. Not women, it seems like, especially women that are out at clubs. So that's why guys layer this on. If you're looking for a slight variation, maybe consider the Eau de Parfum. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. It's hard to pick up. The Parfum, it is smoother, cleaner. I really do like this one. And we talked about the Elixir a little bit earlier in this video. That one is at a whole other level and a very different fragrance. Now, you're also going to see Versace's Dylan Blue. This is the quintessential blue fragrance. Hence, it's even named, it's in a blue bottle called Dylan Blue. Incredibly versatile. It was specifically designed to be the perfect blue fragrance. But I'm not going to make it my number one choice. And as many of you guys could have guessed, the fragrance I'm talking about is Chanel's Bleu de Chanel. This is the one that started the blue trend. It came out and it was groundbreaking. There was nothing else like this. And to this day, it is still the OG of the blue fragrances. and is just beautiful. Top notes are grapefruit, lemon, mint, pink pepper. In the middle, we've got ginger, nutmeg, jasmine, isoe super, and at the base, incense, vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, patchouli, labdanum, and white musk. And if for some reason you're like, this thing's been out too long, since 2010, I want something newer, then check out the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum. Either one of these would be a great substitute. There isn't really that much of a difference. I do think the Eau de Toilette lasts longer than either one of these, but I do think the Parfum is a bit smoother, doesn't have as much citrus. But if I had to recommend one, I would go with the Eau de Toilette. Now, over the last few years here at Real Men Real Styles, many of you guys have noticed we've gone deep into fragrances. And that's because I kept finding all this research pointing out how you can condition yourself when you smell certain scents to actually go into a state of mind. How certain notes would actually affect your memory. They would affect the way you feel, your emotions, and how basically scent had a direct link to the brain. So leveraging all that information, we created a set of unique scent triggers specifically designed to help you reach peak performance. The Mission Fragrance set is designed for men that want to get unstuck, that want to be more focused, that want to use the power of scent to unlock their minds. If you can't tell, gents, this is a passion project, a really interesting project we've been working on now for over a year. So gents, if you want to learn more, down in the description of today's video, I'm linking over to Mission Fragrances where you can get more information, where you can enter your email address, and we'll send more information your way on how to leverage the science of scent and how to possibly grab your own Mission Fragrance set. Now, this next category is going to be over-the-top sweet fragrances made to get compliments, made to help you stand out at the club. So let's start this off with Azzaro. We have Wanted, Wanted by Night. We've got also the Most Wanted, and then the Most Wanted Parfum. Now, when it comes to a bottle design, Azzaro did an excellent job. You've got the whole revolver type of look on these. They're absolutely beautiful bottles. And I do have to say that for a lot of guys, especially if it's your first fragrance, maybe you've only got a handful, to have a bottle that has a really cool design does have an effect on how you perceive the fragrance, whether or not you're going to like it or not. I know it's superficial, but presentation matters. It gets really confusing. Understand that as the bottle seems to get darker, the juice seems to get sweeter and heavier. I do think Wanted by Night was pretty much the peak. Like this one right here, when it came out, it was an improvement on Wanted. It had just great staying power and it had such really cool notes. I have to say that it was one of my favorites and is still my favorite in this entire line. That being said, will Wanted by Night be my first choice? Probably not, but it is a great choice. If you already own it, or you really like the bottle design, or you find it on sale, grab it. It could be a great clubbing fragrance. But let's talk about Eros. Versace's Eros, now there are 3 versions of them. Just stick with the original Eau de Toilette. It gets the job done. If you want something a little bit more refined, you're in your 30s, 40s, then yes, maybe check out the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum that just came out. In any case, this one right here really sets the standard for a club fragrance. Now, the original Eau de Toilette, this is a modern classic and it is the go-to clubbing fragrance for, unfortunately, a lot of guys. So understand, if you're going to wear this, you're going to get compliments, but you're also going to smell like a lot of other people. Not necessarily a bad thing if it's getting you compliments, if it works and you can find great deals on this because of all the options out there. At the top, we've got that mint with the lemon. As we get into the middle there with the green apple, the geranium, and at the base, we've got the tonka bean and the amber. That being said, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you're probably going to know that, oh, hey, what about Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male? So the original, I would skip on that one. I feel it's a bit dated, but you're going to see Ultra Male out there. Highly recommend it. Smells like cotton candy. The ladies absolutely love it. It's a little bit of different sweetness than Eros, and it's not as popular. This other one, going with the new Parfum, I think is perfectly fine. It's a modern interpretation, even better, I think, than the original. And if you like that sweetness, but you want a different bottle, or you don't want that whole torso sitting on your shelf, then check out Scandal. All of these fragrances by Jean-Paul Gaultier have great projection and staying power. All that being said, if I were to choose one clubbing fragrance to rule them all, I would go with 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Not only is this incredibly affordable, but even the original just rocks and get compliments. And I've talked about Privé. I wear that fragrance and I get women stopping me. It projects, it's strong. But if you haven't checked out the newest one, the Elixir, it is dynamite. It comes in, a little bit of a tacky bottle, but this stuff smells great. Or it doesn't because you think it gives you a headache. And if that's the case, guys, you disagree with my picks, with what I've talked about in today's video, do me a favor, down in the comments, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear what you liked. Guys, I love hearing back from you. Now, really quick, before this video goes on for too long, I know a lot of you guys are like, Antonio, man, I just want to smell like a man. I want to get compliments. I want a fragrance that can do anything, can do everything. Well, in that case, check out Creed's Green Irish Tweed. It's a classic. It's beautiful, gets compliments, and isn't over the top. And in my opinion, is even better than Aventus. That being said, if you want something that's a little bit more modern, it's not the newest fragrance out there, but check out Hermes, their classic Terre de Hermes. Now, what if you were to say, Antonio, I want 2 fragrances. Keep them simple, keep them designer, easy to find, and I want one for the summer, I want one for the winter. One for hot, one for cold. Guys, it's as easy as Prada. This is Luna Rossa. This is more geared towards the summer. And of course, Dolce & Gabbana's The One. You could grab the Eau de Parfum, or, there are many versions of this, but I stick with the original right here. It's easy to find. It is a great deal and smells amazing. This one for the winter, this one for the summer. All right, gentlemen, so what video to watch next? How about my 10 out of 10 picks? These fragrances are absolute masterpieces. Wondering what I'm talking about? Check it out. I cover quite a few fragrances that, yes, are just, as you can tell, I love fragrances. So if you like these type of videos, keep watching. Boom. Don't stop. Keep going. Oh yeah. Boom. It's a good video. Check it out.